Yo, what's up everybody? Jumpin' here, and today I am back on some Elden Ring, and I want to talk about this new patch that came out, which was massive. They did tons of buffs, and I know a lot of people are very happy with it, especially in the PvP crowd, because there's a lot of cool stuff that they've done, but they've also changed some things, and I want to talk about the Somber Smithing Stone level 7, because this has been patched now, and I'm going to kind of explain some things about it, and kind of give you my thoughts on it because I'm very conflicted. And that's mainly because I never really deemed this to be an exploit, or at least a game breaking glitch or exploit. This was just kind of a cool trick. And I don't know how to feel about them patching cool tricks, especially because Elden Ring is an amazing game. And in my personal opinion, I think that the reason why I feel like it's so amazing is I love the fact that it's an open world that they throw you in and they give you total freedom. So you're rewarded for exploring the open world. And as you're doing that, you can find some really cool stuff. You can get some really strong weapons. You can upgrade them. And you can do that all before fighting the very first real boss of the game. Now, what they've done with this patch is that they have patched this Somber Smithing Stone level 7. And it's a big deal. And the reason why is because this locks you out of being able to get a 7 stone really early. You're going to have to do all types of stuff now if you want to get this 7 stone. You can get the 8 stone, you can get the 9 stone, you can even get the 10 stone really, really early. It's just the 7 stone that's kind of a problem. And this mainly is going to affect newer players, because as a veteran player or an experienced player, you're not going to really have a problem with getting the 7 stone. If you're determined that that's something you want to do, if you're like, I want to be overpowered on this particular playthrough, I'm going to go and get a maxed out weapon as quick as possible, then you could still do it no problem because you have the experience and you can actually handle certain areas when you're kind of weak. You might struggle a little bit even as an experienced player, but you're going to be able to do it. Now, this is the spot that you would normally go to actually get the Somber Smithing Stone level 7. And the very first thing that they've done, which is very interesting, is that they actually did put a death barrier right here. Normally people would just walk off right here. Now if you try that, you die. But what's really interesting is that they didn't actually totally patch this part. You can still actually get down to the Volcanic Manor Castle and explore it. So I'm going to show you this because I don't know what they were thinking about this death barrier. Like, why even put it here if they're not going to actually put another death barrier down? So I can even take this off. So normally you would need that long-tail cat talisman, which by the way, you get it right there by the death machine. So it just makes logical sense that you pick it up, you look over there, you're like, hey, that's the Volcanic Manor Castle. I wonder if I can drop down there, and then maybe you think to throw on the cat talisman, but check this out. You will die from the one spot, but if you walk off right here, you're completely fine. You don't even need the long-tail cat talisman, and then you just have to roll your fat ass all the way to the area where the slug is, and then you could just run to where the Somber Smithing Stone level 7 is. And of course, like I said, you can also explore some of this area down here. And there are some things you can still grab in this area that can be nice. But the 7 stone is the important thing because it's really a big deal if you want to be able to actually try to get like a maxed out weapon early. And that's where I'm conflicted because I've made these guides in the past, these walkthroughs, even my noob's guide, I've showed this. And this is just going to cause mass confusion among newer players. They're going to watch these guides. I'm not the only one. There's a ton of people who have these guides on how to get these stones, and this will be a part of it. And people are going to see that, and they're going to go and try it. And of course, the other thing is, this jump was always kind of a tricky jump. So for a newer player who might not be experienced at actually doing the jumps in this game, they're going to fail this jump a lot anyway. And I've already seen tons of comments of people saying that they're trying these jumps and they can't get it to work. Is it patched? Is it patched? They don't know. And they're wasting hours trying to do this. And there's even like a ghost over here trying it right now. People are still trying to do this all the time. And I'm just really conflicted on it. Because yes, this is an exploit. This is a way of becoming overpowered. And they might not like that. But at the same time, it's kind of like a cool trick. where there's plenty of like really game-breaking exploits which they should patch, and one of those exploits would have been like jumping over the boss doors. That was a thing. So if you were to jump over the boss door, you could literally have the boss stand there and not even move, and then you can kill a very hard boss, and that was a crazy exploit. So I think they should totally patch things like that. I agree. But cool little tricks like this, I don't know. Now the legit way of getting this stone, by the way, is you're supposed to actually go through here and fight this boss. This boss is tough. Now, as an experienced player, if I started a brand new playthrough and I got a +6 weapon, because you can still easily get your weapon a +6, the 5 stone is also in this area, so technically you could come here to get the 5 stone, but there's other spots you can go. So let me just quickly show you that so I can just kind of explain this. So technically, yes, you could come down here if you wanted to get the 5 stone from down here. It's just over here. The 6 stone is very easy to get. I show it in all my guides on how to get the 6 stone. The 8 and 9 stone, they come from over here. So just here, like you can just go to this tower, you can get the 8 stone, then you can get the 9 stone. All that's not a problem. And another spot is, I believe right here in this tunnel, this is the capital outskirts, there's another 5 stone. So if you wanted to get a 5 stone from here, you can just come exploring the open world and you could get that 5 stone. So if I had a weapon like this weapon at +6, even though I would be weak, and technically I could actually level up too, I'm going to explain that. I could come here and I could fight this boss. Would I struggle? I probably would. I might die several times, even as an experienced player, but I would kill this boss. If I was determined on becoming overpowered and getting my weapon to +9, I would kill this boss, and then after this boss, you have to run through this area, and then there's a stone key door that you have to open up, and then you just drop down, and when you drop down, one thing you can get is Royal Knight Resolve, which is amazing still, and you can get this 7 stone. So that's a legit way of doing it. They didn't want people to be able to skip that stone door, so instead they wanted you to actually have to fight that boss. And I understand that, but at the same time, I just kind of feel like this is a cool trick. Now, one thing I would also maybe consider doing if I'm really weak, I just started, right? So it's in the first couple hours I'm playing the game. If I felt like I needed to level up to fight a boss like this, I would probably take my level 6 weapon that I had, run through Stormville Castle, beat the very first Great Rune boss, then I would make my way over to the Rune Church. I said Rune Church, I meant Rose Church. I would do the side quest here, and then I would go ahead and make my way over to this underground. And if I'm here, I could come and actually farm a bunch of runes by shooting that bird. Now this is a good example too of kind of what I'm talking about. I would be very upset if they actually would patch this bird. And the reason why is because it's a cool little trick. Now, yes, you are exploiting the AI of an enemy by shooting it with a bow, and then it runs off a cliff. But I don't see a problem with that. If you are willing to take the time and you're determined that you want to be stronger, and this is before you do anything, because the whole point is, a lot of people like myself, I enjoy becoming really strong in a game, and then just completely destroying it. Like, I love being able to say, like, wow, I'm really powerful, and now I'm going to go and run through, like, some of these easy areas and just completely destroy everything. I like doing that in games. I have tons of videos about how to be overpowered and things like that, because it's something that I really do enjoy. And a lot of people, they like that too. I know it because they watch my videos. So, I don't see a problem with, like, leveling up and doing something like this. Now, what is a problem in this area, though, which I don't know if they patched it or not, I haven't tried it. I know that there was a recently discovered thing in the same spot where the bird is, because people, they will sit there and farm that bird for hours. But at the same time, it is very kind of aggravating because the AI at times is really stupid. So what someone figured out is you can actually jump over a wall, and then you can jump off the map, where you just keep falling, and you're falling, and you're falling. And if you swing like your sword, you won't die. And then every enemy will just die. Every enemy. And you get hundreds of thousands of runes doing that, which is way better than shooting that dumb bird. Now, should they patch that? Absolutely. That's like a major exploit, because you're falling through the map. I mean, come on now, right? Where shooting the bird, there's nothing wrong with that. And I feel like this Somber stone over here, there's nothing wrong with this just because this is a cool little trick that you can do. This is a jump where it was always a tricky jump and people are going to mess it up. And before they ever patched it, I always would see people saying like, oh, did they patch this? I can't make the jump. I've been trying it like 100 times. And the reason why they couldn't make the jump was because they were messing it up. It wasn't patched at the time. Now it is. And I just feel like this really has thrown a monkey wrench into like my noob's guide, just because I showed how to do this trick and how to get a +9 weapon right away. And anyone following that walkthrough now in the future is going to get massively confused by episode 1. And then, if they're trying to follow what I'm doing, they're not going to be able to do exactly what I'm doing because I have a +9 weapon where they have a +6 weapon maybe. Which they might not even have that because I don't show how to get the +5. I mean, technically, yeah, you could come here to get the +5. I do show that. And then you can get the +6. But this is the other thing, is that it does lock you out. Because I'm going to talk about the different ways of getting the 7 stone. So this is the number one where you can come here very early. You will have to now fight this boss, which is tough. And for a newer player, I don't know. I mean, I just don't see this being very easy for them. They were going to sit here for a long time if they're determined on getting that +9 weapon. You're going to be sitting here for a very long time probably trying to fight this boss. But an experienced player, a veteran player, can beat this boss with just a couple attempts probably. Now the other way you can get a 7 stone, and this is also kind of annoying if you like to be overpowered and get like a maxed out weapon very quickly, then you would have to go to the capital. So you would have to fight 2 Great Rune bosses, which that's very easy. You can do it very quickly, especially if you know what you're doing. You come to the capital and then you drop down to the sewers and you can get a 7 stone down in the sewers. It's complicated and it's a lot more steps, but it is an option if you were really determined on doing that. And then the other way you can do it is if you come down here, there's another boss you fight out in this desert, which of course, this is a tough boss for any newer player, but again, an experienced player will have no problem with a +6 weapon taking out this boss, and then you can actually do the Randy quest line. If you start this quest line, and you skip a lot, if you just go fight that boss, you skip a ton of the quest line, and then you can get to one of the undergrounds where you can get several 7 stones in that underground. So that's your other option. But the 7 stone is really kind of locked away. All these other stones you can get the 8 and the 9 from over here. You can get the 6, which comes from like over in this area. So you can get all these stones. It's just the 7 stone that's the problem. So I'm disappointed by this, mainly because I kind of feel like this is a little bit of a fun police moment. This is a cool thing in this awesome game, which everybody loves exploring. It's the best thing in the whole game. And there's so many cool things you can find in the world, and you're not limited, besides like maybe certain places that you just can't get to without doing crazy glitches and exploits. So I'm just disappointed with the patch. Now another thing which this patch did, which is terrible, especially for like my walkthrough, I really hope that they will fix this as quick as possible. There is a game-breaking bug in the game because of the patch, and it's FromSoft's fault, and that is if you bleed or poison a boss, if you inflict any status, I think even frostbite, it doesn't matter what it is. If you bleed, poison, or frostbite the boss in stage 1 of a fight, and all of the best fights in the game, the stage 2 is always like the cooler stage, the harder stage. You will instantly just kill the phase 2 once you get there. As long as you inflicted a status onto that boss in phase 1, the boss will just instant die. And that will completely mess me up for my walkthrough. I can't fight any phase 2 bosses right now. There's just no way I can do that. So yeah, that's going to slow me down, I guess, until they patch this. But that's basically all I wanted to talk about, because the main thing is I'm kind of disappointed that they patched this. I feel like this was a cool little trick that you can do. I don't really feel like it's game breaking. If you're determined to get like a +9 weapon, you're going to still do it because there are ways of doing it. But you will either have to progress the game to go to the capital, or you're going to have to start the Randy quest line, or you're going to have to come here and do what I just showed you, how you can still get in this area, no problem, but you will actually have to fight that boss, and that's really tough. All of that is really tough. For newer players, But any experienced player is just not gonna have a problem with that. If they're determined, they can do it. And I don't know. I'm not saying that they're gonna undo this. I don't see them undoing this, but I just feel like this was kind of something that didn't need to be done. It's like patching the bird. You don't need to patch that bird because it's a cool trick. Don't patch something like that. Alrighty guys, well I really do hope that you have enjoyed this video. And I hope it has helped if you're wondering how can you get a Somber Stone level 7 and you're still trying to do that. There are ways, it's just more complicated now. But I would appreciate it if you could like this video for me. Be sure to subscribe for future videos. And I really do hope that everyone has a very nice day. And peace out.